Hello, everyone, and thanks for sharing part of your Friday with me. I'm Greg, the director of the Water of Life. I'm also the big man in the Big Man Wee Dram. The Wee Dram, I don't actually have a Wee Dram today. I usually do, even though it's early here on Fridays, but my allergies have been so bad, there's no point in me. I can't taste anything worthwhile anyway, so I was just drinking some water. But enough about me and my allergies. This week, I'm really, really excited, both professionally and personally, because as you may have seen in the post we made, before we shot the film, I had an opportunity to spend a week working at a distillery. And I wouldn't claim to have become the master of any craft there, but I did get to try my hand at just about every one of them. And I think that really gives anyone who is trying to learn more about something a unique perspective that you wouldn't have. I don't care how many distillery tours you take. You're never going to have the nerves that I had doing third water or filling casks, you know. So anyway, so we have a couple members of the team from the Glasgow Distillery with us today, and I'm going to invite them in now, and hopefully you'll give a warm welcome to Elisabeth, Shug, and Alex. How do I do this? Here we go. There we go. Hello, guys.
Hi, Dad.
Hiya.
Thanks for joining me this Friday. I know it's Friday night there.
Yeah, sure is.
Yep.
Friday nights, they don't seem like they used to, though, do they? I mean, Friday night. I don't even half the time I can't keep track of what day it is anymore.
It's all a big blur, really.
Someone called it Blur's Day. Every day is now Blur's Day. So, before we get too tucked into this, if you, some of your titles may have changed since I've been there last. So if you could tell everyone who you are and what your job is at the distillery, that would be awesome.
Ladies first.
All right. Sorry. I just realised that I still got Glasgow Distillery in brackets. Clearly I'm not at the distillery. I'm actually hiding in my bedroom, drinking whiskey on a Friday night. I've got teenage kids, so pretty much it's a standard Friday night for me, really. But yeah, my name is Elisabeth. I manage our European markets at Glasgow Distillery. So my role is basically more sales oriented, but I also do a few whiskey tastings, and do love a bit of this as well. So it's all good, really.
Excellent. Shug?
Alex,
either one.
My name's Shug. I'm a cooper at Glasgow Distillery. Don't just solely cooper. I do a bit of cask management and repairing casks, filling casks, and also a bit of van driving as well, delivering.
Good guy. I'm Alex. I'm one of the senior distillers. So everything from mashing, fermenting, to distilling, to sensory works, to general dog's body, really.
Here.
So, I know you guys know this. Well, Elisabeth may not, but the two of you do because you were subjected to me. So what I did during the week that I was there is each day, the first day I helped mash in. By the final day, we were filling casks.
Yeah.
So I sort of got to follow a batch, throughout the week and do different jobs each week and try my hand. I always tell people how unbelievably nervous I was the first day, not just to be there. I'm comfortable with people and everything, and you guys were super friendly. I was just terrified I was going to mess something up.
We did a few mashes together, didn't we? And then you were like, "Can I get in about? Can I do some valves?" Like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and that's what I was most afraid of at first. Because if you guys remember, I think a mash just the week before had been screwed up by someone who shall remain nameless. I don't want to embarrass him. And by using the wrong water, right? It was cold water. He added cold water.
Yeah.
And that made me absolutely terrified that I was going to do the same thing.
It does feel like about 10 years ago, to be honest, to me right now. I don't know. What you? That week you were there, it feels like such a long time ago.
Yeah. It was 2.5 years ago.
Yeah,
it was October of 18. And because we started shooting, I think on October 18th, so it was prior to that. And it feels like forever ago. I mean, I've been back to Glasgow twice since then. Twice, yeah. And I haven't been in over a year and a half now. I mean, November of 19 would have been the last time I was there. So tell me a little bit how things have changed since I was there last. I know you guys have more stills now, correct?
We do. We have a replica set of wash and spirit stills, which sat across from the ones that you would have worked on. So,
and what are they named?
Margaret and Francis.
And but the original ones are named after Liam's daughters. Am I right?
One daughter.
One's Liam's daughter. One's Ian's
daughter. Ian's daughter.
Yeah, Ian's daughter. I think. Yeah.
Because it's funny, Alphonse, who you guys all know, he made the little promo flyer that I put up, and I don't know. And usually we put the person up, but since there was many of you, I said use an image from the distillery, and so he said our special guest was Margaret.
I see that. Yeah.
That was his sense of humor.
Yeah, she's not here, sadly.
Well, she's not very verbose.
No.
No. So what is the capacity and the output of the distillery now versus what it was then? Has it doubled?
Well, filling cask wise, I've doubled probably from 96 a month to 96 a fortnight. Yeah.
Do you know how many liters of alcohol per annum you guys are making now?
Our bulk liters just now are about 120,000, I think, bulk liters. So about 80,000 LPA.
Wow.
Yeah, probably would be about double from when you were there. Yeah.
Well, so here's a question I have, because first of all, I should say up front, in case anyone doesn't know this, I assume people who tune into this probably know this already, but you guys won Distillery of the Year a few months back, which is pretty cool for a young distillery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's that changed?
I think the sales have went up. I think with the pandemic and people can't get out as well, plus Distillery of the Year, they want to try this upstart distillery. It's one Distillery of the Year, so they want to try the products.
I think also because we've always been a bit of like the underdog in a sense, because we are so tiny and small and new, and just having that, winning that award, really, I think it has kind of doors to new markets, and I've seen that as well as I've been having discussions with potential distributors in new markets in Europe, and it certainly has been really helpful to kind of have that, because it's a testament to what we have been doing as a distillery and as a team, I would say as well. So no, it's just it was just so delightful to actually have something to celebrate, because it was a really crappy year in many respects. So it was wonderful.
That's awesome.
I mean that same night as well, the Peated Expression, for example, won a blind tasting event in that as well. Got a gold medal for that against some really, really strong competitors, as well as the Malt Riot blend winning best blended malt as well. So still the year was great, but we still had 2 other awards too. So it was a bizarre night. Brilliant though.
Let me ask you a question. The peated one, is it the first expression or the second edition?
The first expression.
Was it not the second one?
No, it was the first one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I just
sorry, the second just won the other night, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, you guys might know this, but back in January when we did our Burns night, the first screenings and everything, one of the drams in the tasting set that we had was the second peated expression, and I got to tell you, I can't tell you how many people wrote to me saying, "Where can I get this whiskey?" Because
I can imagine.
You can't get it in the U.S. and it was kind of the buzzed about whiskey. I think some of the other whiskeys in the kit, people knew. If you drink whiskey, you know what Balvenie Double Wood is.
Totally.
But this was like something that just caught people completely off guard, and they were really excited about it. I see that Liam has weighed in here. This year, we will produce 210,000 LPA. So there you go.
That's the target.
So Liam's watching us, guys. Be on your best behavior.
You better be watching because he get beat at golf today with his son. So.
So we got a couple of comments coming in from people just saying hello so far. Keith Duncan, Graham Fraser, who's with us a lot of times. Hello, Graham. It's interesting to me. Liam was in the chat with us a couple of weeks ago when we did this with Rachel McNeil, and we talked about how for the second expression of the peated, you guys
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Just how much, because I've had both of the whiskeys and they're very different. They're very different.
Yeah.
What was the decision to do that? Where did that come from?
What about you, Alec?
I think it was a very conscious decision. I think that we had a product and we thought, we're not really set in with anything we're doing. There is always a chance to sort of tweak and try different methods, really. The spine of the kind of qualities are always kind of there, but you can kind of alternate a few things. And once we kind of secured the Pedro Jimenez casks to finish, it seemed like such a good thing to do, and it worked out really, really well. I love it as well. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I really love both of them, but I like this.
Yeah.
I prefer the second one. The second one blew me away.
Me too.
Yeah, it was almost good not to bottle, wasn't it? We just had to go with it.
Yeah. Anyway, it's funny because it's interesting you say that about that you're not too set in your ways, because that's got to be one of the upsides of being
100%.
a young distillery.
Definitely. Yeah, there's quite a lot of freedom, especially with what we're doing now in terms of having a lot more whiskey maturating now that we have so many other kind of finishes going on. So we're able to sort of keep the kind of core range strong and keep them, so people will always know they're there. Your kind of flagships, I guess you call them. But then we've also got all this freedom, and we can start planning to doing different finishes with wines and tequilas and cognacs and whatever else. So it's for me, it's a really exciting time because there's a lot going on, and there'll be a lot of really interesting products coming out in the next couple of years.
Yeah, a lot of good single cask releases.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's cool. Do you have a lot to do with that, Shug? The single casks?
Yeah, I have a lot to do with seeing how good the wood looks like and stuff. Obviously, talk with Alec and the other boys to see what they think, and because we done one, it was new make into a tequila cask, and within 10 minutes of taking a sample out, and it was amazing that you could smell the tequila off it, so I look forward to 3 years to see how that works out. And we've done a nice Tokaj wine, which is a sweet Hungarian wine. So there's a lot of interesting ones to see further down the line.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good couple of years, I think, getting all these different expressions out. It's gonna be good.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I think we're in a really good position now because we spend so much time and energy kind of perfecting, our signature range and getting, our three expressions right. So we are quite a lot freer now to actually spend a lot more time, as Alex and Shug were saying, and experimenting with some really exciting wood finishes. So it's really a great opportunity to kind of bring this, these single casks to markets in different parts of the world. So it's really exciting.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with there's an American single malt distillery in Seattle here called Westland. And they're aggressively experimental. Really aggressively experimental. And I was listening, this is funny. I was at the dentist yesterday and they told me to listen to something, so I didn't have to listen to the drill. So I was listening, this is the whiskey nerd I am. I was listening to a whiskey podcast that my friends do. And they had the head distiller on from Westland. And he said he worded it much better than I'm going to word it, but I think it's kind of appropriate for you guys. He said, our core range, our flagship is change. It's not that we're looking to finally settle on one whiskey and that's going to be the, moment. And that'll be the whiskey. That change is the constant for Westland, and as I thought, I immediately kind of popped up when he said that, and I knew I wanted to bring it up today because I remember when we were shooting the film, Lachlan said something to that effect of, you don't have the burden of 250 years of history behind you where this is how you're supposed to do it and this is how it's always been.
I think that's why we got licensed to sort of change the way we mature it. It's still sort of the core brand, but just with tweaks, as Alec was saying.
Yeah. And we're free to do that as well because, we are a small company. We're not owned by a big multinational company. who might come in and say, "Oh, we're going to make X, Y, and Z sort of changes." So it really works in our benefit as well. That we are really small, and we have such a really talented production team, operators, and also that we have Liam, who kind of co-founded the company, is so much involved in the kind of direction the company's going. So that's also another kind of benefit that we have, as opposed to a big sort of multinational company.
Yeah, there's a nimbleness.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because I think small companies, whether it's whiskey or tech or whatever, they have a why not attitude instead of a why attitude.
Yeah.
Do you guys still have the what was it, the Dragon still?
We do.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're using it or not. It's just in case anyone doesn't know, that's basically a very, very small little still that you can sort of try one-off, very small experiments without having to commit an enormous amount of resources to. Sort of the size of a R2D2.
Pretty much, yeah. It's being used right at the moment for top secret new product development.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll all become relevant.
Yeah. Here, Liam said something again I think is relevant too. I was actually going to say that too. It's the same whiskey off the still. It's just the wood that makes it fun. And I mean, I think that's the thing. Once you settle on a sort of spirit, I mean, have you guys really kind of now committed to sort of fermentation time and cut points, and that stuff is pretty much set, and now you're sort of using that as or does that change from time to time for different expressions?
It tends to stay the same. We are looking actually to maybe tweak for triple distilled at the moment, just because it's quite bulky. There's quite a lot of volume for each run, so we're trying to work out a way to maybe get less back, which is better quality, really. But it'll be very minor. But for unpeated and peated, it's still the same. We still go through the same thing of tasting and temperature to still and an ABV. So that's remained pretty constant.
That's cool. I mean, it's interesting to see or hear about what has changed since I've been there last versus what has not changed. Because I tasted the new make, and
yeah,
and I've got the this is release number 1. I don't know if this is true or not, but when I got this, Liam told me that it might very well be one of the very, very first retail bottles that was in the distillery, because it wasn't even for sale yet when I was there. I think it was going on sale, right? Like
yeah, it would have been.
Only 5,000 of them, Greg.
Well, that's I got 2. The other one's gone. This one is, I don't know if you can see, is still sealed. I don't know. I don't know when I'm at some point. Trevor and I will open it and drink it, but we keep. It's easy though. You tell yourself, "Oh, some special occasion," and then
yeah.
Then you're just like, I don't know, should I not? Yeah. But we'll do it at some point. Well, the other thing too, I know Shug knows this. I don't know if you guys know this, is that I bought a cask. I bought one of the casks that I filled.
Nice.
Which is a good way if it's completely shit, then if I screwed something up.
I don't think you knocked the bung in too tight, Greg. So.
Yeah.
What kind of cask is it?
It's one of the 1770s.
Oh,
it's
right.
an ex-bourbon, yeah.
Yeah, it's ex-bourbon. Here I have. Hold on. I believe. Oh, it doesn't look like it loaded right. Yeah. I was gonna say I have here's a picture of me.
Who's that guy?
But still, I was trying to load. I have a photo of the cask end because Shug was nice enough to go look up the different casks I filled so I'd get the numbers right. So that that's incredibly meaningful to me. That not only were you guys and Liam nice enough to let me come there and work there, is that then now to own a piece of that is cool.
We're coming to maturity, Greg.
Yeah, it'll a couple months, right? 5 months it'll be.
October, yeah.
Oh yeah, nice.
I'll have to come over.
Yes.
So, a couple of questions that I have that I want to make sure I get to, because one of the questions, and I know, Shug, you have to forgive me because I've asked this before, but there might be other people seeing this and have seen this before, but it's pretty rare for distilleries to have their own in-house cooper nowadays. and especially smaller distilleries. And I think it's a pretty bold idea. I think it's a cool idea because it gives you guys a sort of a hand in that. It automatically elevates the sort of wood program, But can you talk about that a little bit? Tell me about how that came about.
Well, it came about on the camera. I used to do some work freelance for Glasgow Distillery, but I'd done it around a couple of different stills, and a boy who used to be my managing director had sent me over to speak to Liam, and I ended up just doing it freelance then. 3 years ago, nearly to the day, I started with it. They offered me a full-time job, and I started with them. And it's good, even such a small thing. If you're filling casks and you get one that's leaking or whatever, I can fix it there and then. Sometimes not needing to empty it, or if it's a bad leak, I'll just empty the cask and put. Let's see. That's true. Liam was saying I was a taxi driver for a while in Glasgow, that's how it started. So it's worked good both ways. I worked with a good progressive company and a lot of good teammates in it as well. And I say I can fix casks and help them out with wood choice and stuff like that. So it is really good for them because the cost of sending casks to cooperage for a small distillery it can be a lot, So casks can't just be thrown away if they've got a bad stave in them, So it's easy to fix them. Yeah, and then that's how it came about. Unfortunately, I got to meet Mr. Hughes, but there you go.
Well, you guys have to be running out of room because I feel like you were running out of room when I was there. I mean, have you gotten more warehousing? I assume you have to.
We're hopefully in the process of maybe this time next year, getting a warehouse next door because it's better for the likes of doing finishing casks. If for finishing we want to take samples, it can be 2 to 3 weeks before you can pull the sample because the warehouses we use are maybe busy doing other work, so we can have them there and then, and if that's needing a sample, we can just go in and get it, so hopefully this time next year we might be in the process of moving into it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So tell me about the Cooper's cask.
The Cooper's cask, that came about Liam, we get all our American oak from Kelvin Cooperage in Kentucky, and two brothers, Paul and Kevin McLaughlin. It was their father, Tom McLaughlin, he started this cooperage in 1963 in Scotland, the Hamilton area, and he moved over. I think it was the 90s over to Kentucky and started there. So Kevin unfortunately passed away 2 years ago. He's the same age as myself, and they had come over for a meeting with Liam, and I was in with the meeting, and Liam and Kevin had decided to come up with this cask. So I put a cask together of a virgin Kelvin and one of our ex-GDC casks, which had just been, it was a virgin that had been filled with GDC whisky, and I put two of them together to make a hogshead, just intertwined the staves, and we called it the two Coopers because Kevin actually served his time. He started his apprenticeship the same year as myself, and that's why it became the two Coopers cask. We filled it with an ex-port finished cask. It was GDC had been in a port cask for 5 years, and then we put it into the Coopers cask for another year, and we get 403 bottles out of it, which sold in 40 minutes. So
yeah,
it was good.
I was going to get it one. I was going to, one of our producers lives in Renfrew, Linda, who some of you have met.
Yeah.
So what I do is when I can't get bottles in the U.S., I buy them and have them shipped to her. I think I now have 15 bottles in her wardrobe. Which, she's been very gracious about. I assume there's going to be a limit to that at some point. But the funny thing is, every time I come over there, I say, "Oh, I'll take a bunch home," or "I'll take them home," and then I'll take 4 home and buy 6 more while I'm there. So the number goes up.
Then you buy pretty much all of the Port Charlotte in LA as well.
The what?
The Port Charlotte.
What about it?
Didn't you buy like most of the bottles in LA recently?
Well, what happened was I was on a Brooklotti event and I said, oh, I can't find any Port Charlotte 10-year-old. And they wrote to me and they said,
wow.
it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here. So now I've got,
amazing.
I've got loads of it now. And I also, our whole team, we got bottles for our whole team. The photo of me was, I didn't keep all of those.
Yeah, of course.
I just kept the 2. But yeah, but speaking of which, so, I'm very eager to be able to spread the love and spread the word and talk up your whiskey here in the States. And, I had written to Liam and said I wanted to bring that up today. And, I understand you guys have maybe not a date, but a sort of a target, right, for when it's going to become available in the States. Is that right, Elisabeth?
That absolutely. We are planning on launching initially on the East Coast. So California, Q4, so kind of autumn time this year. And it's going to be our signature expressions and some single casks coming into market. So it's going to be a really exciting time.
That's great.
Absolutely. Obviously, this is a long time coming. We did have plans for this a number of years ago before somebody put a spanner in the works in terms of taxes and duty, etc. So, so now we are kind of, we're bringing back our plans. And, we're delighted to bring some lovely whiskey into the States fairly soon, actually, 6 months from now on or so. So
yeah, that's great. I can't wait. It's funny because I'm from Pennsylvania, which is half the distance between me and Scotland right now. But I can get better whiskey, cheaper, easier here than I can in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is the worst in the country as far as liquor laws and stuff. And I know the U.S. is a huge challenge liquor-wise because it's basically 50 countries. Like every state has its own law, whereas California has, as you would expect, it's pretty chill. Everything's just sort of
I think it's a sensible kind of way into market to start there. Hopefully, we would want to see our products in every state in the States, but it'll be a good starting point for us.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm reading. I thought I had it here. It doesn't matter. But I'm reading a book that Charlie MacLean wrote about. It's called Scotland's Secret History, and it's about the history of illicit distilling and smuggling. And there's a little passage in it about prohibition. And they were talking about how there was this little tiny village in Canada on the U.S. border. And they said that when prohibition started, that the one pub in that town used to get like 7 cases of liquor a year. And within 6 months, they were ordering like 10,000 cases a month. There was just one little pub. Yeah, so maybe you guys can use that as your way into Shug can smuggle it across the border.
Yeah, there's always a way.
Alternatives. How people can always find a way in terms of bringing booze the right direction and needed to go, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So Liam says California, Illinois, and the East Coast. That's cool. That's most of the country, population-wise. If the overwhelming majority of the population's on the 2 coasts. So, and if you take Chicago out of it, then it's even more so. But anyway, you said you're going to release the initial, like the sort of flagship, the 3 1770s, or is this going to include like Malt Riot and stuff as well, and the rum and?
But Malt Riots definitely. So our whiskey is going to be our driving category, and there might be some opportunities for our gins and rums as well. But our main focus is going to be our whiskey, as you mentioned, signature range, Malt Riots, and single casks as well. So autumn time, yeah.
There's a liquor store here in LA in a town called Glendale, really close to where I live. And about a year or so ago, I went in there, big liquor store, and they had a bottle of Macker gin on the shelf. And I bought it. And the guy, I kind of know the guy there. I don't know him really well, but I know him a little bit. And he said, "What's that?" And I said, "It's gin." I said, "You're selling it?" And he said, "Yeah," but he said, "I don't honestly know how we got it." And I mean, this is a 2-story liquor store. It's huge, so he's not going to memorize everything they sell. But he said, and I said, oh, it's gin from Scotland, and he's like, oh, and he said, is it good? I said, yeah, it's good. And he said, oh, that's cool. He said, I'm going to look into where we got that. And I was like, all right, yeah, okay, it's your business. It's funny to me that it was, but when I went back, it was gone. There wasn't any the next time. So I always meant to ask Liam that, like, is the gin readily available here? Because that's the only time I've seen it.
I think Fonzie bought a bottle when he was over.
Yeah,
That's well done.
I was going to get Fonzie. He usually joins me on these things, at least on the chat. But he's shooting today. He's shooting motorcycles in Alabama today. Yeah, he shoots a lot of motorcycle stuff. That's kind of his thing, And he's shooting on some motorcycle test track. Well, so tell me a little bit about some of the other products you guys have, especially because I've not had the rum yet. I had early. I remember, Alex, you gave me like 3 different sort of prototype possibilities.
Yeah.
But now it's been out for 2 years, right?
It's been out for 2 years, yeah. So it was spiced rum. We sourced the spirit from Madeira in Portugal. Got the distillery, basically filled it into heavily charged virgin oak casks for like 1 year. Basically take 4 or 5, whatever the batch is going to be, and then spice that batch with fresh fruit and spices. So like kind of orange, pineapple, kind of allspice and cacao, spice wise. That's all macerates for about 7 to 10 days. And then that is then put into bourbon casks for resting for about 2 months, and then released at 44%. So it's done well. It's got a bit of a cult following, but I've been working on other Banditti projects since it came out, really, and there's a good chance we're going to get a good couple of them out this year. So keep in touch. So it's been a lot of work to do, but we're finally getting to a point now where it's almost ready for the world to see it.
That's great. It's funny that you guys, it's a small distillery and you guys have a lot of different products. You guys have really kind of explored lots of different, how many different gins are there? 3?
4?
5.
Oh, wow.
5, yeah.
And then obviously got the 2 G52 vodkas as well.
Right.
And then Malt Riot came out, and so and with all the Banditti stuff coming out this year and all the single casks coming out this year or 2, it's going to be the portfolio is getting bigger and bigger, which is great.
That's awesome. Yeah. So let me ask you a question.
Might need you over, Greg.
The what? Yeah. Tank wipe. Let me ask you guys a question though. Like, what are some of the challenges of, COVID aside, what are the challenges of being a new startup small distillery? And it's not like a new brand that was spun off of another giant brand. It's its own thing from the ground up, and you guys are really kicking ass. But, can you tell me, like, what are we talked a little bit about the good side, the freedom, the creative freedom and stuff, but what are some of the challenges of that?
I guess space in terms of cask storage, like Shug alluded to earlier, with having all these sort of special finished casks filled and then being halfway across the country and trying to get samples from them every so often. It'd be great if we had them literally next door and we can nip in and just take a sample, see how it's doing, make a decision on if it needs longer, if it needs to be moved in some other different woods or whatever. So that's probably a point where whenever we get the place next door, that'll be solved. But production-wise, this kind of remains the same unless we expand and get more stills. We're kind of as big as we're going to be, really.
Yeah, we'll be pushed to the limit with what we've got just now. So it's to be expand and get another 2 stills. So there could probably be room for that if we get another warehouse where we could probably do cask filling in. It gives us space away from that. That's just these are challenges. The wood's a challenge as well. It's harder to get wood just now. It seems to be everybody's wanting it just now from America.
So, like from a market standpoint, Elisabeth, like how do you guys stand out? I mean, there's so many new distilleries in Scotland have come online. I realize you're ahead of the curve on that. Like you were first to market or one of the first to market, but now lots of the other ones are starting to come to market. And
yeah, no, absolutely. That's really exciting because I feel like we are part of kind of leading the way in terms of, new sort of pioneering distilleries. And being also really experimental works in our favour. Some of the challenges, definitely will be space. Very often I get asked questions about, when to come and visit you, do you have a visiting facility? And that would be lovely to be able to kind of host visitors and our customers, distributors, at a kind of proper kind of visiting site. But our business model has always been invest so heavily in the very best equipment and the best casks, and then these other things will have to kind of fall into place later on when we're in that position, when we do have the space and so on. So yeah, definitely, we have many kind of strong kind of selling points because we feel that our whiskey is really high quality for being a young, non-age statement whiskey. The quality is in the glass what you're tasting, but it's also obviously we're not that well known in many markets, so it's all about kind of building the brand with our distributor and new distributors, and hopefully also as we are growing and expanding in different markets, winning all these awards, etc., is also really helpful in terms of just giving us like an extra kind of quality assurance, I suppose. As a testament to the craft, like Alex and Shug, the effort they put into actually making the whiskey. That's why we keep on winning like gold medals, and quite recently won another silver medal as well for our 1778 original. So, and Malt Riot. Plenty of challenges, but also plenty of positives to promote.
Well, it's someone once said to me, if your whiskey's really good, this is a person that worked in marketing. He said, if your whiskey's really good, I don't have to convince you to like my whiskey. I just have to convince you to try it, and then it'll do the rest of the work for you. That
True.
You got to get someone to sort of say, what's this? Can I try it?
Yeah.
And well, I will tell you in no uncertain terms, when it's readily available here, I will be your loudest advocate. I will I will scream from the mountaintops here in Los Angeles.
That's like going back to when I was a young apprentice. Old Cooper says to me, he says, son, if you look after the cask will look after your whiskey, which is true. If you like a good cask, you get good whiskey out of it,
Yeah. And I think that's there's such a huge amount of patience required in making whiskey.
Definitely.
2 years in a day.
Yeah. And it's got to be particularly challenging. Like Alex, I know you deal with this on the distilling side of things. Like if you have an idea, like a really funky idea that maybe has a 75% chance of failing, you still have to wait a long time to see if it fails or not. You can't just you can't try it Monday and know by Friday that, okay, move on.
Exactly, yeah. And that's one of the ones, the Banditti product was kind of an idea I had in my head for a while. And speaking with Mike, one of the directors, about it, and we never really did it. And then eventually we've done it. And now it's actually got to the point where we're like, light bulb, eureka moment, this is going to work. But you're right, there is a chance that you might keep sampling it and realize that it's not doing anything.
Well, Alex, when we were first putting it in the cask, we were saying, is this the right rum we've been given here?
Yeah, right, true. But I mean, I kind of find it interesting, like with all the finishes that we're doing. I love just getting a sample and being like, right, okay, what's this about then? Trying it and being like, all right, okay. Or even something that's not been in the cask yet and thinking, it's got a few things, but it needs to be sweeter. Maybe a cognac will fix that, or a Sauterne, or something else. So you can always fix it. There's always a way.
I think the directors give us a lot of free range to trial things. Very supportive on that.
And that's important. I mean, that sets the culture for everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, what's the, other than obviously the US, and I believe Liam put in the chat, that's going to triple your footprint. What else is in store this year? Yeah, see, it will expand our footprint times 3. But so what else do you guys have in store for this year or next?
In terms of new markets?
No, well, markets. I mean, I'm really, because I didn't know going into this anything about this single cask thing, and I'm really curious about it. I'll show you something here. Let me grab this. So the distillery I was talking about, Westland, I have a bunch of like cask samples from them, and they do so many casks, single casks, that they don't even name them. These are literally, this is cask 1208. This is cask 5963. This is cask 2681. Like, they don't even have product names. They just, you know, they let the whiskey speak for itself. And I'm really curious if you guys are, you know, going to get into that kind of output, or, you know, what else you guys are doing, as far, because I really had no idea going into this conversation you guys were doing that.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, but I mean, certainly we must have, I don't know, 12 different types of different finishes ongoing now. So maybe in the next couple of months they'll be ready to sample and see where they're at. But obviously releases are a long way down the road. I think there's one scheduled for this year, so we might see that. Obviously for Banditti there might be a good couple of things coming out. So yeah, that's the things that are definites anyway.
You know, it's, sorry, go ahead, Chuck.
Shane, we're doing a bit more trialing with vodka as well, so there might be other flavours coming out of that.
Yep.
Are you going to do any more Cooper's cask things?
Yeah, hopefully we're going to be ongoing with that. Yeah. Remember,
you're desperate for a bottle, aren't you?
I have to get up. I'm 8 hours behind. It was sold out before I woke up.
Yeah, that's not fair, is it?
No. The other day, the Berclotti on their open day, the master class began at 2 p.m. there. So I had to get up at 5:30 in the morning, and I was going to do the drinking along. I have the kit, but I couldn't. I just couldn't do it. It's too early. I was just nosing the whiskey, and I'll drink it some other time. But the time zone works against me sometimes. So here, actually, Liam just made a comment, which is relevant to my next question. Do 20 this year across the globe. It's funny. The Waterford Distillery has been doing these single farm whiskeys. I think they did 12, right? And what they did, which is kind of, I understand it from a marketing standpoint, but from a collector standpoint, it's just cruel. They released 4 exclusively to the mainland Europe, 4 UK and Ireland exclusive, and 4 US and Canada exclusive. So collectors cannot get all 12 of them, like without, especially during a pandemic when there's no travel. And I've had collectors write to me that are friends in Scotland and say, I need the 4 American expressions. Can you send them to me?
You could book a swapping program then, couldn't you?
Yeah. I think they should rotate them. They should do it like, you know, so that you just wait a year and then you can get the next one.
True.
But if they're single casks, or they're not single casks, they're actually single farms. So there's probably hundreds of casks.
Right.
But anyway, it's interesting because it's a really cool way to reach out to your fan base, you know, and try these one-offs. I just did one with them the other day where we drank 3 single farm whiskeys from Ireland. They're all single malts, all the same barley, all distilled the same time, all aged in the same wood program, all aged the same age. So it was same variety of barley, same variety of yeast. So it was basically as similar as they could get, but they were each entirely grown in a different field in different parts of Ireland. And you drink them next to each other, and they're completely different whiskeys. Mm. They look the same. They're not different to look at, but there's the flavor. It was cool. It was a fun experiment.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't wait to see what single casks you guys do.
Yeah, no, I mean, loads of exciting projects. We're planning quite a few in different European markets. But as Liam said, it's going to be hopefully about 20 this year. So we're going to be busy, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, the ones we were saying earlier when we touched on like cognac and Tokai stuff, a lot of it wasn't all just new make spirit that went in. We've done some mature spirit and to finish. So they'll be ready in next year, maybe end this year. Just we get some samples and see how it's doing.
That's cool. I just from a single cask perspective, I just saw someone doing this the other day. I thought it was really cool. They took a hogshead and then they did a finish into 4 octaves.
Yeah.
Each of the 4 octaves were completely different. So it was not just same farm, same this, whatever. It was literally the same whiskey from the same cask split into 4 different octaves and then finished differently. And I didn't get to taste it. I just read about this. It'd be really cool to try them side by side.
It would depend what sort of wood you're putting them into, Greg, as well. And if they had maybe sherry, port, whatever, finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, no, I don't have it open anymore. I had the list of the wood, but it was, I know one of them was, I don't know. I honestly can't remember. But yeah, they were different woods for sure. And I think one was a port, one was a sherry, one was a bourbon, and one may have been even I want to say it was a Lafroig, an ex-Lafroig octave.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So
They were really different then. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I do this every week. I always say I'm going to talk for half an hour and then we go way over, but that's just because I really enjoy talking to you guys and I love being a nerd about whiskey. But, you know, I'm so excited. I'm just excited for you guys. I'm excited for how well things are going, and I'm excited that I've been fully vaccinated for 6 weeks, so I'm planning to come back to Scotland and hopefully in September.
Nice.
I want to go to Shetland. We're talking about making a documentary about the Shetland bus, and I've never been to Shetland. So, but I'll come and do some other stuff too, because you know we're talking about making a second whiskey film about independent bottling.
Cool.
So,
I'll come with you, Greg. It's actually Norwegian, and I've been to either.
yeah, well, I mean it's funny because Trevor, my producing partner, you guys have met Trevor.
Yeah.
I told him I wanted to do a film. I said, I want to make a documentary about the Shetland bus. And he said, so wait a minute. He said, we just spent 2 years making a film about whiskey. And now you want to make a film that is set above the Arctic Circle on a boat at night? I was like, yeah, I want to go a different direction. It's just something I'm very curious about and interested in doing. So it's something we're exploring.
And you need some whiskey to warm you up then, you know. Sounds ideal.
Yeah. Maybe I'll go to Orkney too. I've never been there.
Nice.
For Alex, Rob. So.
I know.
Alex can tour you.
Yeah, I'll let you know where to go.
I think Alex was thrown out of Orkney, was he not?
Yeah, I think it's expired now. I can go back now. I think it's finished.
We ended up with. You get put out of Orkney, then put out of Aberdeen. Out to Glasgow.
Right. It happens.
Well, you know, thank you guys so much. This has been really fun. And like I started saying a minute ago, I'm really, really excited for you guys. And I can't wait to get back and come stand awkwardly around the distillery and get in people's ways tomorrow.
Hey, well, you got a sample of your cask, Greg?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
What I got to look up what date that was filled, because it might be worth it. Come to Glasgow at the end of the trip. It might mature while I'm there.
Yeah,
I'll look that up.
It's round about
That'd be cool.
7th or 8th October, I think.
It was definitely early mid-October. Yeah, I was thinking it was October 12th, but it was somewhere in there. I do have a photo. I'll have to go find it. So, but in any case, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you spending time with me on a Friday night.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I hope to see you all very soon, and thank you everyone else for joining us tonight. And I feel like Liam was our 4th guest. He was offering up some facts.
He's always watching us.
Always.
Oh, hey, wait! Before we go, Shug, did Liam tell you my idea about Napa Valley?
No.
Oh, I was talking to someone, Rachel McNeil, the other week about how no one really uses American wine casks much. That's the last great untapped cask market is American wine casks in Napa. They don't used by many whiskey distilleries yet. So I pitched Liam on an idea of you and me I'll film the whole thing. We'll spend a week traveling around Napa together getting casks.
Yep, that'd be good stuff.
I'll watch that.
Napa.
And well, Liam said he'll pay for it all as long as it's a one-way ticket.
That's okay. I'll work my way back.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thank you guys so much.
Take care, Rods.
Thanks, Greg.
Talk to you guys soon. Bye.
All right.
Cheers.
Take care.